Hi, everyone. Welcome to my Wednesday live stream where we talk voice and artist development and music and career and everything that is needed to really thrive and survive in this world of music and really live the dream. So join me every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where I go live for 30 minutes and we have a conversation based on the blog of the week, the topic, and then I open it up for questions. So today I'm discussing the 5 secrets for singers, how to improve performance and vocal health. A quick announcement before we begin. If you're really serious about your voice, you need to be training, and you need to be training with a biomechanical method that improves the physical function and vocal production and sound and range and efficiency of the voice. And when you're not training in this kind of a method, you have no idea what you're missing, because this method does not use funny sounds to manipulate the sound, changing the style or whatnot. This really improves the actual mechanics of the voice. So your voice is a precious instrument, and the voice will start to break down and wear out over years of singing with the wrong techniques. So it's really important to learn the right techniques that are based in vocal health. And this method that I teach and created, the Cole vocal method, although I was not the founder of the technique, this is based in 40 years of vocal science. And as you train in a method like this, it improves the way that you make sound, which preserves the vocal longevity, because the voice will start to break down. Eventually, I see a lot of singers in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, where they didn't really train, and now they're having trouble with the voice, right? So you want to, all of that can be avoided very easily, still keeping your style and all of those wonderful things about your voice. But when you improve the mechanic, it only makes you a stronger and healthier singer. The other thing that I really see is that the laryngeal muscles often get pushed upward with repeated singing. So the air comes up out of the lung, and especially when you're singing with force and you perform regularly, the laryngeal muscles get pushed up. That's why in my Singer's Gift vocal warm-ups, I teach you self vocal massages to actually pull those muscles down in a healthy way. And because the high larynx, which happens over repeated singing over time, destabilizes the voice, causing cracking, breaking, and vocal problems over time. And there is a natural accumulation of wear and tear that comes with performing professionally. So singers really need to practice healthy vocal technique along with conditioning techniques to keep their voices from accumulating that tension and the natural inflammation that occurs from singing and performing. So you want to protect and nurture your voice with and build your voice with biomechanical vocal technique to ensure a long and fulfilling singing career. You can learn more about the Cole vocal method over on my website and how to learn it. I'm putting the link over there on YouTube and Facebook. But you can just go to my site, caricole.com, and it says caricole.com, and you'll see a page that says the Cole vocal method. Just click on that, and that'll tell you all about the method, what it's based in, how it was created, the history of it, and then how you learn it. And people either start with my Singer's Gift vocal warm-ups or my vocal rescue kit, or they jump right into the Vocal Freedom Circle, where you really learn this technique over 8 weeks in an online self-study program. And that actually comes with monthly Zooms with me. So anyone that's been a VFC alumni, if you're not joining our monthly Zooms, you're missing out. Normally we just do Q&A. I'm going to be creating topics for this year along with Q&A. So if you're serious about building your voice, really do that. You have no idea what you're missing. The 5 secrets for singers, how to improve performance and vocal health, to improve your singing voice and maintain vocal health. The 5 topics I'm discussing today are vocal care and maintenance, posture and breathing, warming up, cooling down, and vocal conditioning. And this is a new term that I'm coining. I actually coined vocal cool downs many, many years ago because I've been teaching for almost 40 years now. And then I was happy to see everybody else using that term. But now I'm coining a new term called the vocal conditioning exercises. And so I've done a whole series of vocal conditioning inside my, it starts inside my vocal rescue kit, but it's expanded upon inside my vocal mastery program, which is my year-long program. We're in process of that program. You have to take the Vocal Freedom Circle to get into that program. I'm not going to run it in the same format that I did last year, but I may run an abbreviated version this year. And then the other subjects are vocal massage, laryngeal manipulative therapy that's called LMT, and bodywork, and then biomechanical vocal technique to improve strength and health. So for those of you looking to improve your performance and health, here are my suggested resources. Let me actually just, I put that on Facebook. You have the links on Facebook. I'll do it a little bit later in the stream today. So let's dive into this a bit more, and let me go deeper on each topic, and then you can head over to the blog if you want to look at this in one sweep. So vocal care and maintenance really are a routine part of keeping your voice healthy, improving longevity and performance. And routine vocal maintenance really includes daily vocal technique practice, again, a biomechanical practice, not just me, 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 or ma, 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 or nay, 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 or nying, 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 or some of these things that teachers do that are okay, but they're not really fixing the core voice itself. You really need that biomechanical technique to actually improve the way your voice makes sound. So daily vocal technique practice to strengthen your voice, build your voice, and keep it healthy with conditioning of a biomechanical nature, like my cold vocal method. Vocal therapy to help restore your voice when it needs more help and care. And there's times in every singer's week or month or year where, when you're singing a lot, you need to do that vocal therapy or that conditioning to help maintain that health in your voice. And I teach this inside the cold vocal method. The cold vocal method is all based in vocal health at its foundation. So you will never lose your voice or have vocal problems that other singers can have when you train with this method. But vocal therapy is a really important part of a singer's regimen, and you know when you need it because your voice needs help. Steaming daily, gargling daily. We want to improve the vocal hygiene and the care and the maintenance. And we also want to improve the vocal fold hydration, which steaming is the only way to improve vocal fold hydration. So, drinking water and electrolytes and broths and, watery substances are very helpful that don't have caffeine in them. Caffeine dehydrates. But you could I drink a cup of coffee a day. It's fine as long as you're staying hydrated and also eating fruits and drinking broths and green juice and things like that. And that really helps to keep that area hydrated. But when you want that instant hydration, you want to steam, because steaming brings that moist air, that moisture right to the vocal folds. So as you're inhaling, you're bringing that moisture to the vocal folds. And I don't really like the devices that are out there, and I'll tell you why. Like vocal mist, it's a great idea and everything, but I prefer warm steam, because warm steam is more hydrating. It opens up the area to be more receptive rather than just room temperature or cool steam you don't really want to use. So I just like to, you can just heat a cup of hot water and put your hands over it and steam, or a cup or a pot, or you can even make like throat coat tea and steam with it. Although I like those two, just plain water or throat coat tea, which has licorice and slippery elm in it. And then also eating melon. Melon is, especially cantaloupe and watermelon or honeydew, any of the melons have been proven, and this is a scientific fact, not just a good idea. So I was working with an ENT at NYU here in New York, and they did a study on how to keep singers hydrated. And the study involved the tours of Eric Clapton and Elton John at the time. And so they were hired to come on and research what was the best way to keep singers hydrated, because Elton John was, practicing staying more hydrated. And in one performance, he had to pee so bad that he had to leave after the second song and rushed to the restroom, and the restrooms were locked right by the stage. So he had to run all the way to the other side of the stadium to use the restroom. So you can imagine the stir that caused. And what they discovered was two things. One, that when you put melon in the water, even just chunks of melon in the water you're drinking, or you eat melon, that melon, the water molecules are fatter, they're bigger, and so they stay in the area hydrating the throat, and that the throat passages longer than drinking water, which are smaller molecules. So grab some melon and put it in your water when you're drinking it, or eat some melon. And the other was that when you drink through a straw, that you stay hydrated longer. So evidently the way that you drink, if you're like guzzling water, it's going to come rushing out. If you're sipping through a straw, it's going to stay in the body longer, hydrating the tissues. So those are two really interesting tips. But vocal care and maintenance is really important, to be able to keep everything clean. And it's good to use a toxin-free mouthwash. You could gargle with salt. I never really liked that myself. But if you like that, go ahead and do that, or plain water. But be careful with your mouthwashes, because a lot of them have all kinds of chemicals in them that you really don't want. You can also just gargle with hydrogen peroxide and baking soda. And I guess you could put a little bit of salt in there or something like that. But you don't want too much of those substances, because that could be irritating. So sometimes, I brush my teeth with, every time I brush my teeth, I, put toxin-free toothpaste on my toothbrush. And then I put a splash of hydrogen peroxide, food grade, 3 or 12%, whatever I have around. And then I'll swish with, I'll add some water to that and gargle with that, and then spit that out, or, whatever version that you want. But it's good to keep that area healthy, and also to hydrate. Posture and breathing is extremely important. Posture plays a very important role in the establishing of the correct support for the singing voice. You'll never see an opera singer singing like this with their head forward. You'll always see them with their chin in and their head level, and their pectoral muscles available, right? So we don't want to push the chest forward. We just want to think of lifting the chest up towards the chin, right? And the pectoral muscles are the first muscles that anchor the laryngeals. And why is that important? Because when you're singing, especially performing, and you're singing with more pressure and more force, you're pushing more air, you're sending more air to the vocal area, and the tendency is for this to get pushed up, and then you're singing from here up, instead of, when you have the body more available, the pectoral muscles more available, they will help to anchor the voice and give it more strength and take the pressure off of the singing voice. So most people have a slightly slumped chest and a forward head, and this causes issues for singers, as it prevents them from breathing deeper and accessing their deeper breath. And it also causes more tension and wearing out, because you're singing from the throat more than using the body more correctly to support the sound. So poor posture will thwart the vocal path and cause tensions to arise that really affect overall vocal production. And over time, again, you're going to have vocal problems, right? I think I have my ringer on. I'll turn it off later. So I have a little alignment exercise over on the blog, if you want to, practice that to get more clear on how to really set that up in a way that doesn't feel stressful for you. When you get into a posture and you practice better posture with the chest lifted and the back of the neck lengthened, right? And you really want that lengthened head instead of that forward head. You really want it to be long there. This is very natural for me because I've been practicing yoga and doing body work and singing technique for more than 40 years, but since I was 5. Um, and you know, you want it to be natural. So when you first start to get into those positions, you're going to feel pulling in different areas because if your back of your neck is too short from a forward head, when you start to lengthen it, you're going to feel the tension really in between the shoulder blades, which is the base of the neck where the neck muscles insert into the back. So you're going to feel more tension there. And then that feels uncomfortable. So I always say, if you have a lot of tensions, practice good posture and get into position and then soften it a little bit, just so that you're not uncomfortable. And then over time, those muscles start to stretch out. Warming up, number 3, warming up, cooling down, and vocal conditioning. So the number one cause of vocal loss and shortened longevity and tension in the singing voice is a lack of healthy vocal technique or the inability to hit notes in your range or things like that. So the best way to really have a voice that lasts a lifetime and also that opens up your potential is to really train with using proper warm-ups, cool downs, and vocal conditioning, as I'm talking about, and also voice building. That's a very important piece. So a lot of what you see out there of singing teachers, doing the ma, 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 na, 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 yang, yang, yang things without doing any biomechanical techniques, it's helping the voice a little bit, but it's not actually improving the way that you make sound. So when you train with the cold vocal method, it's like training with an Olympic coach as an athlete. You're getting the very finest training available that's based in vocal science that literally opens and frees the voice. And from teaching over 40 years and having gone through it myself, I couldn't believe the difference in my voice. I had no idea I had that quality available to me until I really started to train. And then I just couldn't believe it. And then also witnessing it with thousands of singers, training singers, it's just incredible the difference that it makes. The voice is a sophisticated, complex instrument that's easy to misuse without the right approach and techniques. And this technique is not really out there. This is really the only place that it's taught. The person who developed it, Edward Dwyer, passed away many years, a couple decades ago. He taught at the Metropolitan Opera, and he was absolutely brilliant and based this technique on 40 years of vocal science, of studying vocal science, and looking at the vocal folds and analyzing what he saw and what exercises did what. And then my mentor is in her 80s now, and so I'm really carrying this forward. Number 4 is vocal massage, laryngeal manipulative therapy, and bodywork. So vocal massage, all of these are incredibly valuable modalities to help singers release and relieve tensions affecting their singing voice, especially for performing singers. I'm very often, I studied vocal massage with a student of Ida Rolf, so I'm very well trained and knowledgeable in how vocal massage can actually release the muscles. And laryngeal manipulative therapy was developed by Jacob Lieberman, who is in Germany. And it's basically, he's an osteopath, and he developed this kind of laryngeal manipulative therapy, which I teach. It's the same stuff that I teach and show, and we start that process in the Singer's Gift, which is why it works so well, because we're showing people how to actually gently release tensions in the muscles of the voice. I mean, imagine being a skier and never stretching your legs, right? You're going to end up with shin splints and contractions and injuries and problems. So it's the same for singers. It's just, it's just now kind of coming out. I've been doing it for decades because it was a secret weapon. I could have a singer come into my studio with a hoarse voice and they had a show that night or the next night, or their manager was bringing them in, help, how do we fix them? We have a big show tomorrow. And I would put them down on my mat on the floor, put balm on them, like a muscle balm and essential oils, and then really dig into the key areas in around the voice that cause all the tension. I'd spend an hour doing a lot of deep work, and they would get up and their hoarseness would be gone. in the event that their hoarseness was coming from reflux or some kind of other environmental issue, allergies, reflux, that kind of thing. They usually go together. They're usually combined. But vocal problems always are accompanied by tension in the muscles surrounding the instrument and of the voice. So even if they had issues coming from other things, it would probably be 50 to 60% improved. If it was coming from the tension in the muscles alone, which it often is, they'll get up and feel, 80 to 100% better. Their voice is restored. So you can find out more about that over on the website. But when you train with our method, we teach all of these pieces inside the method. And 5, and I'm going to open up for questions shortly. So I see a question over on YouTube that I'll answer. And then any questions that you have, put them in the comments now in Instagram or on Facebook. Training with a solid vocal technique. So biomechanical vocal techniques. So I did a post yesterday talking about vocal longevity on Instagram. And I said, singers who practice biomechanical vocal technique are twice as likely to extend their vocal longevity. And somebody said, how can I learn this? I'm not familiar with the term. And I sent him over to the page about the method. It really is a term that I'm coining, as well as the conditioning, and originally coined the cool down phrase because I've been teaching for 40 years. But biomechanical means we are improving the mechanical function of the voice, how the voice makes sound, the connection of all the intricate connections of all the muscles and everything that's happening there, and improving the core strength of the actual instrument, and then making any corrections, from overusing these muscles, making all the corrections so the voice is being used correctly. And then when you go to sing, you don't want to be thinking about it, because it's not designed that when you're singing, you have to think about this or think about that. It's accomplished through the daily technique. So, and you just need 20 minutes a day as a minimum to experience a difference. So, and that is proven and tested. But most singers who are serious about their voices are usually doing about a 40-minute technique regimen, and that's reserved only for technique, and keeping the voice in the best shape, building the voice, fixing any problems, then building the voice, building out the range, building out the tone, building out the full potential of that instrument, and then maintaining it and keeping it healthy. And we have all of the technique is designed in these 20-minute increments. And so you can do 20 minutes to do 40 minutes, or you can do a 50-minute regimen. I did 50 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. I could not believe the difference. I went from being an average singer who was kind of breathy, to a fully established professional singer where I could use textures as I wished. And I built out my range, and I built up my belt voice. It was originally breaking at like a B flat. An A, B flat was like my high belt without training. And then with training, I moved into that E to F area of the high diva singer belt. That can all be accomplished by training. It's really incredible when you have the right technique, not just any old technique, right? Any old technique won't cut it. Let me go to questions. Let's see. Easy Breezy Genius says, sometimes it can be difficult for me to take a full breath. I don't think it's physical, more like a lack of oxygen. Do you know what that is? It sounds to me like it could be physical. And what I mean by that is, well, we can address 2 things here. So 1, are you breathing down into the lower ribs? Or are you breathing up into the chest? Do you breathe down into the lower ribs in the back, to really get that deeper diaphragmatic breathing? Like, do you feel the swing of the ribs when you're inhaling in the lower 4 to 5 ribs? Because that isn't taught in most techniques, and that is really what Carl Stow was all about. He was the Dr. Breath. He passed away in 2010. But his work really established that lower breath down there. And when the ribs are locked, in the intercostal muscles. And until you really release them, they're usually locked because they're holding us upright. Singers have to really work to release that area. You're not going to get that deeper breath in the deeper triangles of the lungs. Okay, so you are breathing there. That would be interesting to watch you breathe and see how much is actually happening there. The other thing is tension in the neck can really inhibit the diaphragm drop. How long have you been training, Easy Breezy Genius? How long have you been training, and how long have you really been training your breath? I'm just curious. And have you ever trained with this kind of method? A lack of oxygen. Oxygen is available. Were you sick with COVID? Did it happen after? I have so many questions to determine what that actually would be. And feel free to set up a vocal analysis session with me, and I'll send you the checklist to fill out ahead of time, and we can figure out what it is. There could be, if you have asthma and allergies, your bronchs could be constricted. If there's no constriction and you truly are breathing fully down into the lower ribs, then it'd be very interesting to see what the other problem is. Maybe there's some kind of environmental thing, in the air around you that your body is shutting down. One way to try would be to get an oxygen tank, or you can even get little cans of oxygen. The athletes use those in high altitude, and you could use those oxygen cans like you're in high altitude and see if it's improved. And if it's not, then that that's not the issue. So I would kind of start there. Yeah, don't slack, Easy Breezy Genius, and come to those calls and ask these questions, because you have access to me in a private setting. So come and let's talk it through. Try the oxygen can first and let's see. And then when you come to that call, I can actually look at your ribs and see what's actually happening. B12 is good. You don't want to overtake B12. I overtook B12 and had a problem. And iron is tricky. Because iron, if you are a menstruating woman, then I think you are a woman. I can't really tell by I can't really see because it's so small, your avatar. I think you are, though. What is your actual name? Just put it in the chat. You have to be careful with iron because you can overdo iron. The iron copper ratio is really important. So, when we start self-medicating without really testing what's in our blood, we can cause other problems. I have been there. And those problems can be serious. So I don't know. It would be good to do a full analysis to kind of see what is going on. Lene. Oh yeah, I remember you came on once. Yeah, come on and let's figure it out. People pay me a lot of money per hour. So when you're in VFC, you have access to those private Zooms. Just because they're free, don't underestimate. A lot of people don't ask questions in them, and it can be like having a private session with me. So come and we can figure out what it is. But if you think it's oxygen, start with the oxygen can and we'll see what's going on. Anybody else? Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything you want to share? Any epiphanies or ahas from today's live stream that you want to share, or any questions that you want to ask? As always, the topic of today is over on the blog. Every Wednesday, we release a blog and do a live stream. You can join the list at carriequill.com and get access to our weekly e-zine and all of our offers and discounts, and be part of our community. When you join the Vocal Freedom Circle, you're invited to a monthly Zoom call where you hop on with me and we discuss privately your voice in a small private group. We also do the same now with our Step Up to the Spotlight artist development program that we just did a big launch. It's ending. The launch is ending today. So if you're looking for artist development and to really get inside how to really move forward with your music and your career and all of the steps involved in artist development, Step Up to the Spotlight. I think it's $500 off, and today is the last day. And you can find that on all of our links. And the masterclass for that, the Artist Development Masterclass, is still up. I think it ends today or tomorrow. So, and then we have a big masterclass coming up on June 25th. The enrollment for that opens on June 11th. So stay tuned to that. It's my one time a year big vocal masterclass about how to build a step-by-step method for building a strong and healthy voice. So everyone here should be there. We're going to open up registration early this time, but the official registration will open on June 11th, but we'll probably have the page up by next week. So you can find that on my website and start enrolling in that, because we do have limited seats and you're not going to want to miss that. And that is doing a launch for our Vocal Freedom Circle where you get quite a discount. So come and experience the cold vocal method. You will not believe the difference. Yeah, vocal cool downs are not vocal. It's an interesting question, Jesse, but vocal cool downs don't promote sleep. They actually thin out the edges of the vocal folds, right? So they're taking the inflammation that happens with singing down. I've never heard that before. That's really interesting. But I do have tips for how to get good sleep. Make sure you have a dark room, keep the temperature from 65 to 67 Fahrenheit. If you don't have a dark room, use a blackout mask. That makes a huge difference. Make sure it's quiet. And you can also use passion flower. Passion flower, organic passion flower herb is an herb you can use that will quiet the monkey mind. Why is it the register of the voice changes as you get older? It doesn't for everyone. So my voice hasn't gotten deeper as I've gotten older, and I'm in my 6th decade now. And it doesn't have to at all. It's really from lack of correct speaking technique, and for singers, incorrect singing technique that causes inflammation. So people that never really trained, like Joni Mitchell's a good example. She never really trained, and she had that very high soprano, and then her voice slowly got deeper and deeper and deeper because she wasn't training her voice. And she also smoked and still smokes quite a bit. So, that drying everything out and causing ill vocal health, and the voice will lose, it will get raspier or more hoarse, but that's not a natural occurrence in a singer who is taking care of their voice. That's not a natural occurrence. Your voice is getting strained because you're using your throat. You're not singing correctly. Yeah, come and learn the cold vocal method and you'll learn. And you also have a lot of tension in the muscles surrounding the instrument, which is really common. So singing, it's not something that you can figure out on your own. You really have to train to learn the correct methods because it's a little more sophisticated. Most singers, when they sing, they're going to sing like this, and they're going to use the back of their neck, and they're going to sing from here. And everything gets very, very tight and strain accumulates. I talked about it at the beginning of the live. So if you want to go back and see the beginning of the live, head on over to YouTube, because this is recorded live over there, and hit the live page and you'll be able to go back from the beginning. Thanks so much for joining me today, and join me every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. It's always my pleasure to connect with you. Do the work, train. You won't believe the difference in your voice, but train with the right method. Don't train with free tips on YouTube. That is not an established method that's actually going to create a difference for you in your life and in your career as a singer. Believe in yourself. Invest in yourself. Invest your time. Invest your focus. If this is something that you really want, you won't believe the difference when you apply the right techniques. And I will see you very soon. Have a really wildly, successfully creative week this week, and really get that vocal technique in at the top of the day. And then you can pat yourself on the back for the rest of the day. Start with my singer's gift. I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.